The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
1420 Sports Bar Podcast. For beer, the sports talk, and a whole lot more. Join host Brent Radlinsky as he bellies up to the bar and gets the conversation going that'll make you think you're sitting in your local watering hole. It's sports, beer, and shenanigans. So sit back, grab a few beers, and let's get into it. The 1420 Sports Bar Podcast, for beer, sports talk, and a whole lot more. Today's show, as always, is brought to you by SeatGeek.com and the SeatGeek app. Use promo code 1420SEAT at SeatGeek.com today and save yourself $20 on your first purchase. Remember, we are part of the Belly Up Media Network. Go to BellyUpSports.com for all the great articles and other great podcasts, such as the Corner Booth Podcast. My guys over there at Craft Brewed Sports. Great show they had on Tuesday night talking about college football, the way the SEC and the Big Ten is all trying to change things a little bit, but it's a great show, as they always put on, and other podcasts as well. And then also go to the 1420sportsbar.com for some musings and ramblings that I put out there on a bi-weekly basis, and different articles I've been working on as well. But lots of sports content for you to gather up. And anyways, it's been a few days since that gold medal game, four nations face off, Canada, USA, in an instant classic, one that you can talk about for years to come. Because I'm Canadian, the right team won in my eyes, and it was a great hockey game all around. Canada was down throughout the game, tied it up a couple of times, ended up winning in overtime with the best player in hockey. Didn't have a great game overall, but the best player in the game right now, Connor McDavid, ended it in overtime. Great shot over a Hellebucks. Why McDavid is a hockey end of things. Why McDavid was that open in the slot at that stage of a hockey game is probably going to be discussed on sports radio throughout everywhere for a long time. But it ended in a great Canadian fashion, same way it ended in 2010 with Canada and U.S. And then obviously with the golden goal Sidney Crosby scored, 2002 with the Canada win, breaking their long gold medal drought at the Olympics in Salt Lake City with that great hockey game. Canada won that one 5-2. Not much of a nail biter back then, but then on it goes 91, I think, as well. Canada won it was 92, the Canada Cup. 96 was the only blip in the radar for best on best, Canada versus the United States, but with the Mike Richter World Cup of Hockey thing. But that's there's your history lesson for the day. But in general, it was a great night for Canadians. It was a great night for Canadian hockey. It was a great night for hockey in general. People across both markets were tuned into this game, dialed in. The ratings were not as high. I thought they'd be a lot higher than they were, but they were higher than most Stanley Cup playoff games. A fantastic event, to say the least. It's something that I'll say this before. It didn't really catch my eyeballs at all leading up to the event, but it turned out to be one heck of a exhibition of hockey. And these guys were out there and they meant it. The hockey was the highest level it's probably ever been played. The skill level these guys have now compared to what it was in 97. It's just a lot. It's just different how hockey's played now compared to what it was 28 years ago, where it was a lot more rough and tumble. These guys, not they weren't hitting and not they weren't physical, but it was just a different type of hockey back then than it was now. But the game was fast, to say the least. The goaltending was remarkable on both sides. Binnington, who a lot of people were a little bit afraid of going into the tournament, and then throughout the tournament wasn't great, even though Canada had the one blip blip in their radar, the one loss to the U.S. on the previous Saturday night. Binnington was okay throughout the tournament, wasn't great, but without Binnington on Thursday night, Canada doesn't win that game. Some 5-alarm saves, especially in overtime. That one off of Brady Tkachuk on the side of the net, and then the one with the best goal scorer in hockey right now, Austin Matthews in the slot. He can flash the leather. It was unbelievable. It was a great save, and that gave Canada a chance to win, and they ended up winning the game because you know what? They had the best player in hockey. And usually on these best on best situations, there's two things that happen, and it happens a lot, especially in these short tournaments. It's hard to beat the one team twice in a row in these short deals, and usually the team with the best player in the game, which is Connor McDavid, they end up winning that hockey game. McDavid, like I said earlier, he wasn't as great as he usually is, but big players, they come up in big spots, and that's what he did. You could tell he was a little bit tired out with his celebratory jump that didn't get probably couldn't get a 2-piece of paper underneath his feet. But it was a great ending to a great hockey game, and it was, like I said, the right team won. It was a lot of fun to watch. The whole thing leading up to it, it was a lot of it. The leading up to it, I'm not going to get political. I have in the past couple of shows, but it's kind of funny the stuff leading up to it with the tariffs and with the annexation and Trump saying things, and now it's as far as I'm going to go with that. But that kind of gave Canadians a little bit of fire into the belly to watch this thing, and I think that added to a lot more of the jubilation after the game and during the game. There was a lot more people watching than probably would have if it wasn't going on. Yes, Canada, hockey's our thing, and it's winning's our thing, and we kind of get used to it. But you wonder if all that other stuff on the back end in the background wasn't happening. You wonder if that added to I know it added to the drama of everything, because when the game was over and people were jumping up and down, we went to Boston Pizza. I got a funny story for that in half a second as well. We went to, and we were watching the game. We were going to sit at home and watch it, but then we decided, let's go be around people and enjoy it, because it's usually a lot more fun to be around other fans and everything. So I jerseyed up the whole thing, the I guess it would have been the 1998 Olympic Canadian jersey that I was sporting. I have a couple other ones. I got to dig those out of storage or wherever. I can't know where they are, but so there's lots of people in Canadian jerseys at the time. The place was packed. Place was having a good time, and they were ready to go. You could tell there was some pent-up frustration. There was some nervous anticipation throughout the crowd, but it all turned out great. U.S. opened the scoring. You got a little bit nervous throughout the game, but I didn't feel a sense of nerves as you were watching. You always think that Canada is going to pull this one off, as they normally do in these big games, these big situations. I can't remember where Canada, like 97, obviously, that we talked about before, but or is that 96? It might have been 96. It doesn't matter, but it was one of those years that Canada usually comes out on top of these things. You don't get too nervous, and in general, like, the older you get, the less nerved up you get during these things. But as the game progressed, you start to think, oh man, this is something else, and you start reminiscing about all the great Hockey Canada games over the years that you've watched, and the great times you've had watching these events with people and different and being through the Hockey Canada world back when I played hockey, and being around the game for as long as I was, and then being in contact with people. You start to reminisce a little bit, and you start to realize how great this game actually is, and how much fun it is, and how much fun it's supposed to be, and all the external crap should stay out of it, not just with the political stuff south of the border, but the political stuff that's involved with parents and everything else. And if you can just take a few minutes just to watch a game, and take a few hours to watch a game, and just realize how much fun the game of hockey actually is, and how much people enjoy it, for when you get down to the best on best, and you get down to the fun part of being a Canadian hockey fan, and you got that on Thursday night. But you watch that game, and it was fast. It was go, and there was some mistakes made, a lot of great saves on both sides. It was just a great hockey game on, and the tension was there, because in general Canada needed that win. And this is the political end of it. I'm going to say Canada, and whatever you believe, you can believe, and that's fine. But Canada has felt a little bit jaded in the last few weeks with the comments from Mr. Trump down south, with the annexation and the tariffs and everything else. It's kind of been kind of crappy, right? So when Canada got that win on Saturday night, or Thursday night, sorry, I can say without. Yeah, there was jubilation. Yeah, they were jumping up and down. Yeah, some guy hugged me, and it was quite a fun time. But I think in general, for a lot of Canadian hockey fans, I know for myself, it was more of a sense of relief that Canada won than a sense of jubilation. If Canada would have lost that game, I don't know how I would have felt, because like I said, Canadians needed that win and wanted that win just for our own egos a little bit, to pump up the tires a little bit, considering the beating through the press that we get, because nobody tends to talk about Canadians like that very often. So we don't know how to react when that's going on. And now that it's been happening on a nightly basis in the news, it was good to have our night, and that was our way to speak back a little bit. And that was our way to enjoy a moment more so than we might have in years gone by. We've won tournaments. I could say weeks. I'm Canadian. we've won tournaments in the past, and you celebrate in the 2002 the Olympics, and that was a great one. 2010, people in Vancouver, they went crazy, had a great time, and just the sense of Canadiana that comes out after each of these events, it's huge. Is this like an Olympic medal? No, because that's the Olympics, and there's a lot more teams involved. It's still best on best. It's not Olympics by any means. The game was an instant classic. One year it might be on. I don't know if ESPN Classic's even a thing anymore, but that's a game that might be on the day after tomorrow on ESPN Classic, but it doesn't rank up there with the Olympics because how long that can last, and there's just more people involved in it. There's more teams involved in it. There's just a lot more involved to winning an Olympic gold medal in comparison to winning a Four Nations face-off. That's never going to happen again. I said this last week. I said this is and it's an exhibition tournament that you're not going. It's never going to happen again because they've already decided the NHL is going back to the Olympics, and they've already decided they're going to go back to the World Cup of hockey. So this rendition of the best on best is a one-time thing. So the one and only time that the Four Nations face-off was being held, this was it, and you'll never hear from it again except for watching it on instant classics or YouTube or reminiscing about it with your friends and family over a couple of pints. So it's Will McDavid have this on his Hall of Fame plaque that he scored the golden goal for the Four Nations face-off. I doubt it. It might come in for on the plaque or on his list of accomplishments, but I can't see that being it's a high on his list of accomplishments. Obviously, it's something that you'll never take away from him. The memories he has of scoring this goal and being part of the whole thing. But I don't know how much plaque play it's going to get in his Hall of Fame acceptance speech, unless he never wins a Stanley Cup. Who knows? Or maybe he never wins an Olympic gold medal when they go there next year. So who knows how that's all going to turn out? But that was a fun tournament to watch, and it brought Canadians together. And it was kind of funny. We were sitting at the bar because I don't need person between me and another beer, but we're sitting at the bar, and another couple sat next to us, and my wife Deanne, she was sitting next to this other woman, and she started talking about that she was originally from Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, and her name was Corinne, I can't remember. It was really loud in there, but it was Corinne, and she was super nice girl, and she had a Canadian sweatshirt on, and she had a bow in her hair, and Hockey Canada the whole bit, and she was really into it. And she mentioned that she was from Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. So out of nowhere, I just said, "Do you by chance do you know Vicky Watson, a girl I graduated with at Notre Dame back in 1992?" So that's a lot of years ago. That's 33 years ago. We parted ways, but I saw Vicky. I think last time I saw her was my 20-year high school reunion, which was a lot of years ago too. So it was funny that I said, "Do you know Vicky by chance?" She goes, "Oh yeah, Vicky owns Rapture Salon." So it's kind of great how great our country is. Everybody knows somebody in the Canadiana that flows out during these events, and it was a good moment that everybody needed that sigh of relief that we got the win. We could shut everybody up for a few hours, and we could take our game back and take our country back during that event. And now Americans can go back to not watching the game of hockey, something that they were really interested in not that many hours ago. And then now when the NHL started up back on Saturday afternoon with the Pittsburgh Penguins, I want to talk about that in half a second, with the Penguins and the Capitals going at it, they can go back to not caring about hockey again. But it was great to have hockey at the forefront. And it was great that people were talking about it. It was for most of the right reasons, but it became a political thing on both sides of the border. We were just as guilty of shooting barbs the other way as well. So we're not innocent in the whole thing, but we got pushed, so we pushed back a little bit. And I had to laugh a little bit about the Donnie Trump, because he called the Canadian team or the American team. So of course he didn't call it Canadian team. He called the American team that afternoon prior to the game, the pregame skate, and wishing them good luck and on and on. So he was obviously cheering for the U.S. team. Whether he watched the thing or not, I doubt it, but it's none of my business. Don't care. But he kind of gave the old the Donnie Trump thumbs up to Team USA, and they ended up losing. It kind of reminiscent of the Super Bowl a few weeks back when he gave the old Donnie Trump thumbs up to the Kansas City Chiefs, and they lost. So maybe from now on, when people get the the Trump thumbs up when it comes to sports. Bet against them, because you'll probably take some money home with you when Trump gives his thumbs up to anything, let alone the world of sports. But enough of that with the political stuff. It was a great display of hockey. It was a great display of athleticism. It's a hockey at a skill level we've never seen before. It was physical. There wasn't any pre-planned fights or anything prior to, but it was just great hockey all around, fast, just back and forth in the goaltending. Because I'm an old goalie, so I'm a goalie hugger for sure. Binnington, who no one had a whole bunch of faith in going into this into that final. People were still saying maybe they should go to Aiden Hill, but you couldn't throw Hill into that situation because he hadn't played in over a week and a half to sort of throw a guy in and throw him to the wolves. He hasn't played at that high of a level in his life, because that's the highest level anybody's ever played at. That's higher. The skill level is higher than the Stanley Cup, but maybe the intensity is not the same. But I think it was. You kind of had to. John Cooper, Notre Dame boy as well. John Cooper, he had to just go with his gut and go with his guy, and he stuck with Binnington, and the rest is history. Binnington made some saves that probably shouldn't have, but they hit the puck, hit him a few times. There was a couple times in the first period he didn't look like he knew where the puck was, and I was kind of laughing about that, because it happens to goaltenders. Like, you get puck bouncing around, you don't know, you get twisted and turned around, but it ends up hitting you, and he made all the easy saves and a few of the hard ones, and that's it. Canada ends up winning the Four Nations face-off on a great goal by Connor McDavid, and it was just a great game all around to watch, and it was so. It felt good, and like I said, like when it was all said and done, and people were still high five, and I leaned back in my chair a little bit, and I just said, sigh of relief. It was more of a sigh of relief than jubilation that they won. And when we got home, we watched a few things here and there. And the John Cooper broadcast or the interview afterwards, Coach John Cooper, he had a beer in his hand. He was kind of, he said it was Canadian in his hand, Molson, and he was. You can see the relief that he had. He gave a great speech saying that Canada needed this one, that Canada needed this one, and the players wanted this one for the country, probably more so than in other years. And it was just. It was all in all, it was a great event. It was a great way to display our Canadian pride, and we could have a night for ourselves. And who knows what's going to happen in the weeks and days and weeks and months to come with this other crap that's going on. And who knows if anything's going to happen? I don't know. I'm not a political analyst at all, but it was because of what did go on and how it all turned out. It was a great night for Canada. It was a great night for Canadians. A great night to be a hockey fan, and in general, I think hockey fans were winners throughout the whole thing, and the players for sure were winners as well. And you can't say enough about guys like Cale Makar, the way he plays the game. He had to have been out there 30 minutes, and he's just a horse of a hockey player, and it's the skill level that guy's gotten you. And Nathan McKinnon, and the on and on it goes with the skill level that Canada has, and the Americans too. Obviously, you kind of wonder what their thought process was by playing Tkachuk when he was obviously hurt. I think they played 6 minutes, and you had what's name Connor from the Jets sitting on the up in the rafters, not playing. Corey, so you just wonder about some choices of John Tortorella and that coaching staff. But just in general, it was a great level of hockey that you'll now you get to see it every other year starting next year in the Olympics, which is good to have back and get that Canadiana going again and get things going. And it put some fire in my belly too. Like you kind of forget about sports and you get caught up in a lot of other things. You get caught up in a lot of just work, day-to-day things. But when you can sit back and just enjoy a sport for what it is, and an event like that for what it is, and you can you go, okay, yeah, this is why I love the game, and this is why I grew up playing the game. This is why I just enjoyed it so much. And it was a lot of fun to watch. It was a lot of fun to be around Canadians who were cheering and having a good time. And I think that's what in the big picture, that it was, like I said, that was something that Canada needed, and we got it. And we're the Four Nations champions, the one and only Four Nations champions in hockey history. So congratulations to that team, John Cooper and the coaching staff, Rick Tocchet, and the rest of them. What a great event. And Sidney Crosby, what can you say about him? He had a great game, but not his best game in the tournament. But the old man was out there, 37 years old, and he's one of the best players on the ice, just an ambassador of the game of hockey. He'll be the end of the Olympics next year. I can't see why they wouldn't have him. The way he played all these years later, like 2010's a long time ago when he scored that golden goal, but he was out there in the forefront, and you can see the jubilation that he had when they won. Winning never gets old, and he did the proverbial passing of the torch torch to Connor McDavid, the next generation of great Canadian leaders and Canadian winners in the game of hockey. And it was great to see Crosby out there, just a hockey savant, and I can't imagine the knowledge that he had out there for the rest of the Canadian team, not just the team, but the coaching staff as well. And John Cooper alluded to that in the post-game report as well. No, it was awesome. I was watching the game yesterday, and it kind of like I turned on the TV. I was out and about a little bit, but I got home for a couple minutes. I turned on the Penguins Capitals game, and you got to feel for Crosby. He's playing at such a high level still, and he's playing for a franchise in the Pittsburgh Penguins that's going nowhere. And I know I've said this in the past, but if I was the Colorado Avalanche or Las Vegas or Toronto Maple Leafs or whoever, I would put out an honest like an APB or a call or something. Just like a closed mouth never gets fed. I would put out some kind of a call to say, hey, can we the game of hockey owes Sidney Crosby another chance to win a Stanley Cup, because it's not going to happen in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's bloody awful, and they're getting their teeth kicked in yesterday, and you kind of felt bad for Crosby being in that situation where they're not going to win anything, and it wouldn't surprise you if they won 10 more games all season long. They're just not good enough. They're not going to be in the playoffs this year, not next year, and he's only has I think 3 years left on his deal that he signed this season for 8.7, of course, right, to match his number 87. So you just wonder if at some point Crosby might say, that was a lot of fun playing in those big games. It was a lot of fun playing for a championship again, and have some realism in his tone, where he might say, you know what, I want another chance to win one. Whether he gets that feel playing for Team Canada in the Olympics next year, and that's all he needs again, and that's all he wants to see. Maybe that's all he needs. That's all he wants to do, because he's got to have some realism in between that great big brain of his that he's not winning one in Pittsburgh. So maybe that's just the trade-off he has, that being the great ambassador to hockey, that winning for Team Canada is his sole purpose, and then mentoring the young kids in Pittsburgh coming through is his other purpose in the game of hockey. So you just wonder where that's all going to, how that's all going to play out, and how that's all going to work for Sidney Crosby and the Pittsburgh Penguins moving forward, and for Team Canada having that great ambassador for the game. And yeah, it was, and Drew, you can't say enough about Drew Doughty, who got called in at the last minute as an injury replacement. He was out there and just having a great time. Remember 2010, whether this is a true story or not, but there's a rumor out there, it might be an urban legend, that he got in a little later than he should have for curfew time in 2010 when they were Olympics, but and ended up winning a gold medal back then. But no teeth, the hair just all over the place, the big beard, probably out of shape, overweight, and everything else like he's always been throughout his career. But what can you say about Drew Doughty being out there and getting called in the last minute to be a leader for Team Canada as well? And you get guys like that, and you go, the old grit grinders they're still needed in the great game of hockey. You can't just have all these sleek Lamborghinis out there. You got to have the odd Mack truck rolling through, or the GM truck or the Ford truck, whatever it might be, just still doing their part. And Drew Doughty, you can't say enough about him either. But it was just a great event. Yeah, and you seen a guy like Mitchie Marner. Say what you want about the guy, he's still one of the leading scorers in the National Hockey League. And was this a thing that going to help him to maybe push the Leafs over the top come the playoff time, because he's going to be called on for the Leafs, and getting a chance to win a championship and get some mentoring from a guy like Sidney Crosby, and to say, okay, this is what we got to have to win. This is what's got to happen when we get back to Toronto to get something going. And it's as much as you like. You're glad that Matthews didn't score. If you're a Team Canada fan, you got to think that, because Matthews did play really well. Austin Matthews, the Toronto Maple Leafs, obviously I'm talking about here, but you got to think that Leafs fans got to be thinking, you know what, he played really well, and he was 1 6 inches away from not even 6 inches away. That puck was flying off his stick in overtime. He could have been the guy that scored the golden goal for the U.S. So the Toronto Maple Leafs, they got to think, we're in a pretty good spot with the two guys we got trying to lead us to a Stanley Cup championship. And then for the Edmonton Oilers, having McDavid score a big one and getting some more confidence in his backpack isn't a good thing. It's a great thing for hockey fans right across Canada, not just for the Canadian men's hockey team, but for the the Canadian based NHL teams as well. So no, it was a lot of fun being out with people and just the smiles on everybody's face when it was all said and done. Like I said, it was more of a sense of relief for me that we won that hockey game, and we could celebrate the greatest hockey nation in the world. We could still hold on to that one for a little while longer and have some smiles and have some laughs, because it was a lot of fun to be a part of because of all the crap that we've been hearing and talking about for quite a while now. So it was good to have that relief and that release and cheer. And I think I gave a couple pumpernickels, the old pumpernickel cheer when Canada scored that goal. So it was great. It was just a great event to be a part of, and I'm glad that we decided to go and enjoy a couple of pints and watch it amongst people who become your friends, which might only be for a few hours. That's the funny thing about like when it comes to it. So we have people who you might disagree with on a lot of people politically or on certain things, and woke, unwoke, and this and that, and you might disagree. But when it comes to the game of hockey, that's one thing Canadians can always agree on. So it was a lot of fun too. Like I said, it was a lot of fun to watch. Anyways, there it is, the 1420 Sports Bar podcast, for beer sports, talking a whole lot more for this 23rd day of February 2025. Thanks everybody for listening. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, check us out on our social media accounts, and check out an article on this and other topics we've had in the past on the at the 1420sportsbar.com. Have a great week, folks. We'll probably do one of these again on Tuesday morning with Aaron. We had it's always great having Aaron on the show. Talk about he's a pretty level-headed guy, and I got 20 some years on him, so he tends to call me sir a lot, which is strange. But we have a really good time together. So if you haven't checked out that show, make sure check it on YouTube. Check out all our old shows. Again, going back for 4.5 years now. We've been doing this stupid thing, and make sure you check out our man Jim at the fan of the Van Plotner. Jim, your package is in the mail. It will be there. You'll have your Bulls apparel. So make sure you sport that proudly down in Long Island for the Lethbridge Bulls and WCBL. Lots going on in the world of sports. It's always fun to be a part of. Hey, and I was on Global TV the other day. Kind of neat, actually. Got a little interview on Global, just talking with Bulls baseball. There it is. There's the 1420 Sports Bar podcast. For beer sports, talk a whole lot more. Go to SeatGeek. Use promo code 1420SEAT. Save yourself $20 over there. And remember, everybody, it doesn't matter where you are. It's who you're with. Have yourself a great week, and we'll talk to you later.